Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Slack Frontiers Prague recap on Friday 15th at 12 p.m. in Prague. I hope you'll enjoy this session. I put in quite a bit of time on this one. But yes, I'm very excited about what happened at Frontiers. We've had about 8,000 people in the channel, and the growth has been phenomenal. I think a lot of people are still in the pandemic season, so they are still attending many conferences virtually, and this one was no different. And the purpose of this one is to provide a kind of a recap what was announced here in Prague uh, to show you basically what are some of those benefits, and also to provide a platform for all of us in Prague, whether you work in a big corporation like myself, or in a startup you'd like to explore the amazing Slack platform. uh, you know Frontiers and this recap will hopefully help you in that direction, and of course to grow our community in Prague. There's other communities, of course, elsewhere in Europe. You have ones in Germany, you have ones in Netherlands, you have them in Spain, but this Prague one is really still quite new. So this is an opportunity to help relaunch it and make sure it grows over time. So with that intro, let's get started. And first thing I'd like to go over is exactly what we'll cover. So the very first thing is to give you an overview of what is Slack for those of you especially who are new to the platform. You'll be able to see in this presentation some of the main features and benefits this platform provides for you. Again, it doesn't matter if you are a small startup to a large enterprise, you can utilize Slack across all of those. And even outside business, you're able to utilize this in education, nonprofits, and communities. Uh, Especially for nonprofits, it's a really useful platform because a lot of the premium benefits are available for free to nonprofits. Then we will go over some of the resources that you can utilize to learn more about Slack. The second big part of today will be about the large announcements announced at Frontiers. So we will have the profile updates, show you basically what changed there a bit, then some of the changes in the sidebar that were also announced, and finally the major one, which is the Slack huddles. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to add in all of the other massive changes that come in with the Slack API platform, which is really powerful. So, of course, as you'll see at the end, if you would like to get involved more on the technical side, I would really appreciate that. It would be amazing to grow this going forward. And then the third major part we have is question and answers, any questions you might have. And I will do my best to answer those, as well as the networking side. So how to basically, uh, meet other users of Slack, whether it's in your community or somewhere in other businesses and so on. And I'd like to also provide an opportunity with the breakout rooms feature to let you meet fellow users. All right, with all of this out of the way, agenda, let me go over who will talk today. So again, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to find or even market today's event much. So I'm the only speaker. I have created all of the slides and I have done the rehearsal myself, and I'm doing all of the speaking here, the recording, and the uploads. But a little bit more about me. I've actually set up this chapter in late 2020, so during the pandemic. And since then, I've had about two or three events. First two, well, were quite well attended. Third one, nobody attended. So I took this opportunity finally to relaunch the chapter, and today's event, just with myself so far, is the start of it. So I would love to, help grow this chapter over time to be a lot more than just me talking to myself like today. A little bit more about me. I am manager at Amazon Advertising here in Prague, and we're hiring. So if you are interested in advertising space, as well as working at a really successful company like Amazon, check out my LinkedIn profile or go to amazon.jobs to learn more. We have very uh, great teams there, and yeah, it would be great of you to join us. So, uh, what is Slack for those of you who are new? Slack was actually set up back in 2013 from this founder of uh, Stuart Butterfield, and as you can see down below, it used to be called Line Feed. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but Stuart was setting up a gaming company, and then he transitioned it to be a collaboration chat platform. And if you don't know, Slack is actually an acronym: Searchable Log of All Conversation and Knowledge, aka SLACK, Slack. And Slack users are traditionally called slackers. It doesn't mean they are lazy. It's just the kind of way of calling them. So welcome, fellow slackers and Slack users. So you can see on the left side that there's many like options with Slack. Uh, these particular ones are called workflows, which we'll get into in a minute. But it's sort of a mini app. So Slack is a whole platform. It's not just for chat. It's a platform that many other things are built on top of. And it's in a nutshell, it's a business tool used for communication and to get things done. So you can use it for DMs or direct messages to other Slack users, or you can create channels with multiple Slack users to collaborate all in the same fields. And here you can see in the right photo, there is kind of a hash symbol. Those are public channels. The ones with the lock are private channels. So public channels, anybody in this workspace. So workspace is basically uh, a kind of a, how would I call it? A kind of a whole platform for your company. Or if your company is really big, you can have multiple workspaces within a company for different teams, say. But generally, there's just one workspace where you have everybody at it, and you have different channels for different teams. And the public ones, basically anybody can see in the company, or in the workspace, so they can see, for example, what is like design doing, what is sales doing, and respond accordingly. Whereas the private channels, you would want only people that are specific to a project, and maybe that where information should stay private only to those team members. So general guideline is make your channels public so your company can share information between each other, and on an exception, make them private in case you have, again, some of those projects that are more sensitive in nature. So in a nutshell, a combination of the DMs and the channels are there to help you get things done, and always make sure that you create channels with a purpose. So that means you create a channel with a description saying what is going on, and then after you are done with that project or even that whole team thing, then make sure you archive it to keep things clean, or even delete them, so that your colleagues and other teams do not get overwhelmed with too many channels. So that's a little bit of the overview there, but to get more deeper, I'd like to highlight three main features just for configuration. First one is called Slack Connect, which is a really powerful platform that's designed to replace email. So you can use that to invite up to 20 other companies inside a single channel to collaborate with them. So if you imagine traditionally, to get things done, you would want to send an email to maybe sales or someone else at another partner company, and you would wait for a reply, and then you'd have to send back again and come back. But in the 21st century, now it's 2022, people are much more used to chat, apps like Telegram or WhatsApp or any one of those. And Slack really helps to accelerate that, because unlike those platforms, it also has a ton of business features, and also enables your data to stay secure for you, especially with something like Slack Connect. Whereas email, it can be sent out and you don't know what's going to happen. With Slack Connect, all of it is inside uh, within Slack, and you can utilize features like data silos to make sure that you have that control over the data yourself. And you can also enable or disable discoverability. So that means other users, they can find you and be able to contact you, and if there's ever any breach or issues, you can disable it, which is more challenging to do with email generally. Um, so the second option, or the second feature for configuration, is notifications. So imagine you're a startup with two time zones, one here in Prague, another part of your company may be somewhere in California, and you'd like to start collaborating with them. Traditionally, again, you would basically maybe call them, and here it might be 12 p.m., just like today, but in California it would be 9 hours behind that, so 3 a.m. Not an ideal time to contact your colleagues. Whereas with Slack, you can set up your notifications in such a way to say, hey, now it's 9 a.m. Now you can contact me. If it's maybe 7 a.m. or 3 a.m., like I mentioned there, you would get little Z's there, like the contact is asleep. And so the other colleague would know that you are not yet active and available to be contacted. And then you can use other features such as scheduled messages, which use pretty neat machine learning to make sure that your message actually arrives to your colleague at 9 a.m. their time. And they can do it the same way for you. If it's their uh, 3 p.m. California time, or UTC plus -9, then instead of sending you the message at again 3 a.m., or in this case it would be midnight, they can schedule it so it arrives at 9 a.m. your time too. Really useful and powerful features. And then third one, which is kind of a fun one, themes. So you can actually stylize your Slack to look blue, for example, pink, green, or any other color in between. And you can stylize your interface and kind of your messages as well in different levels. And you can completely customize these using hex colors. There is even a website, slackthemes.net, where you can download other ones that others have made, matrix colors or Fantastic Four colors, anything else, superhero, things are available out there. So it's really cool because you have it makes work, everyday work, more enjoyable and more personalized. The second major thing I'd like to highlight to you is automation. So I touched based on this earlier with workflows a bit, but workflows are incredibly powerful because they require zero code. So you can, you know, make anybody build a workflow in your company. And you can use it to, for example, introduce new team members. You can use it to send scheduled messages to channels to make sure teams are on point at different time intervals. You can use it for emoji replies. So, for example, a team member sends emoji looking into your issue, and then you would get an automatic follow up message to another channel to make sure other team members are looking into it. Or you can use it for approval workflows. And there's many different types of workflows I encourage you to check out, uh, such as custom workflows to hook up with webhooks. So you might have your internal ticketing platform, and if a new ticket arrives using a custom webhook for workflow, your team can be notified in a specific channel, and using another workflow for emoji replies, you can notify other team members, hey, this issue is already getting addressed. Really, really powerful platform. And one of the announcements of Frontiers that I didn't have a chance to highlight is workflow building blocks. So if you build, for example, the introductory workflow, you can create a building block out of it to combine it with a scheduled workflow so that those workflows kind of work together and they do multiple things at the same time. And then you can also combine it with workflow apps. So you might have a Zapier app for automation, as we'll see in a sec, as a custom workflow steps with workflow app to if you run the introduction workflow, this custom workflow would then do something else with it, such as send an email or also highlight, somewhere else we have like new team members joining. There's a ton more things that we don't have a chance to go over today, but really workflows are kind of a next generation business tool. The second major part of automation are bots. So with bots, I mean, you can see here one fun example, which is kind of a joke bot. Hi, can you tell me a joke? Knock, knock, who's there? A bot user. A bot user who? No, I'm a bot user. I don't understand jokes. So you can create joke bots, but you can also create useful bots. So a team member might be asking information there. They are a new hire. Where do you find, for example, the printers in the building? And the bot would respond there immediately saying, hey, it's on the first and the third floor. And then you might have another new joiner joining your company. Like a month later, they might be asking the same question. The bot would immediately jump in there and advise them of the same thing. So it can be really, really helpful. It can also explain uh, the acronyms your company uses without relying on any other apps. or having to create your workflows. So incredibly useful for automation purposes. And then finally, we have the third major one, which is apps. So here I actually highlighted Zapier itself. So when you have this app configured, it can take your new email, copy attachments from it, and then alert you in Slack. That's just like a very, very simple example. But you can have, Zapier have like uh, dozens and dozens of steps for much more complex workflows. So there is also automation.io and many other automation apps, and even non-automation apps, business apps. There is email apps. There is there's kind of polling or survey apps. So you can get a ton of information. That's why I mentioned Slack is really a platform. And on top of that, you can build your apps, you can create your bots, and your workflows. And workflows themselves, you can get up to 100 different steps. So there is questions within workflows, and then you can add in kind of survey options, and they can go on to be very, very complex. So yes, automation is another kind of a second pillar there that is really powerful in addition to configuration. The third one I wanted to highlight to you today is speed. How does Slack enable your business to move faster, or even your educational institution? First one is shortcuts. I mean, any app, of course, has keyboard shortcuts, but Slack has keyboard shortcuts for practically everything. If you press Command or Control slash, then you can toggle a panel in your right sidebar to show you all of them. So the first few ones there are quite simple. New message, or jumping to a conversation, or to search. But really, once you start using it, like you need to find information very fast instead of going to some website and searching for it. Maybe your teammate has already posted the answer, so you can just type Command G and type from the teammate's name and then the keyword. And you can even specify the time frames. So it would be like date from and date to. You put in those dates, and boom, you get a very, very customized search query to find just what you need, all with a few keyboard shortcuts. I really encourage you to go through these and try to replace as many keyboard clicks with as many mouse clicks with keyboard shortcuts as you can. Do that every day. Maybe pick up one or three new keyboard shortcuts, and you will be a master in no time. The amount of time it will save you on a day to day will be actually quite impressive. The second part where Slack really helps you move faster is with Slack clips. So in fact, I took a clip of myself yesterday finishing this presentation, as you can see below. And with clips, you can record audio and video, as you can see here. Audio only is quite simple. You just record your voice, you post it out, and that's it. The video part is much more advanced and powerful. So far, it has the video, it has screen sharing, and recently they've added blurring and custom backgrounds. So in that case, you might have again a colleague somewhere else, and instead of waiting for them to log in at the end of your shift, if it's a 9-hour difference, you can simply record a clip of how to do something, and you can send them a scheduled message with it detailing, all of the steps to do it. Or if you have a tech issue, you can record what was the issue and send it to your engineering team, immediately, rather than, creating a meeting, which kind of wastes both of your times. and basically get things done really, really quickly. With features such as the background blurring and custom backgrounds, it doesn't matter where you are calling from. You can be calling from work, you can be calling from a restaurant, a cafe, anywhere else, and nobody else, will be able to tell because your background is separated, away with these features. So make sure that you take the time to explore clips. The only limitation right now is that you can record up to 5 minutes. So originally that was 3 minutes. Now they increased to 5 minutes. It's possible this limit will also go away with time, but it's really incredibly powerful. I love to use it for my team to explain new announcements or explain how things were solved. And I'd love to hear how to use clips yourself to move faster. So the third part of speed here that I have today is huddles. Huddles are a very new feature. I believe they came out just this year, and they enable your meetings to take place right inside Slack. So instead of going to other apps like Zoom or Google Meet, you can just quickly set up a huddle and add in up to 50 team members to uh, discuss the issue in a kind of a hallway conversation. So unfortunately, you cannot schedule these, but that is kind of the whole point. Instead of scheduling meetings, you just jump quickly into a huddle and you leave it, and that's it. You can also utilize screen sharing functionality within huddles. So you can discuss an issue, show your colleagues what is the problem, and get your response immediately. It also supports features like audio transcriptions, which so far I believe are only in English, uh, but it's also a useful feature to have. And later this year, as we'll see in a bit, are video huddles. So you'll have the very similar features like with the Slack clips, but also more powerful ones such as whiteboarding coming there very, very soon. So huddles we actually utilize really successfully in my team too to work asynchronously. So we might have a morning and afternoon shift team, and the morning team can easily pass the info, what happened during the shift, what were some of the challenges to overcome, but also to build up a kind of a team spirit, having a few laughs to understand others. So, we've used it very, very successfully in at the present, and I can't wait to see how how much more we can utilize this with video and the whiteboarding features. So we have three pillars with Slack. We have configuration, we have, as we saw, automation, and then we have speed. The ones that I want to highlight here for those of you new to Slack. So that's the Slack overview. The next section I'd like to go over finally are the announcements. Oh, unfortunately, the API section there that you can see I didn't have a chance to finish, but I will cover profile updates, sidebar updates, and the Slack huddles as mentioned previously. So with profile, it's a feature of Slack where you can set up your profile, you can configure it based on, what is your position in the company, what are your contact times. You can mention also what are your interests and pretty much anything else about you and the company. With the sidebar, you can configure it to add in sections. So that's what I recommend, especially when you start out, is to make sure that instead of having a giant list of channels and DMs, please put in your sidebar sections so that you can organize these according to, as you can see here, the marketing team or major announcements. And you can also organize not just channels, but also DMs together by sections. And finally, the huddles. So let's get started with those. With the profile updates, as you can see on the left side, in the past, they traditionally just added options such as calling or a few details about yourself. What is your contact number? What is your email? But it was pretty limited in not just the information you could add there, but also how it looked and how it functioned. Whereas now with the new profile updates, you have uh, you have a much more visual way of having your information presented. You can also add a name pronunciation. So if you have a difficult last name like me, instead of expecting people to be able to uh, pronounce it, I can just record my own name pronunciation, add it there, and other people will be able to, easily pronounce it. And you can see like the UI itself is a lot more kind of logical, understandable. It's more clean. And what I really love about it is that you can actually click anyone's name, and instead of it opening up in a giant sidebar, it will only provide a little modal dialogue there to showcase, what is that person's local time information, or what is their job title, what they work in. So all of the necessary information in a tiny, tiny pop-up space. Really, useful to have this updated. And if your company also utilizes something like Slack Atlas for a complete company information for your whole directory, this becomes even more powerful to see your entire company structure. The second big update is the sidebar. So in this old sidebar, I took this from the Slack website, but you can see it was, you know, very busy with all these notifications kind of flashing at you. A lot of these like icons for things like Slack Connect, and it was maybe a bit overwhelming. Whereas with the new one, it doesn't flash as much. It's not like red right in your face. There's less icons cluttering up the interface, and it's more kind of clean to make sure, like users are not overwhelmed. So I like what they've done here. It sounds like a tiny thing, but as they often say, it's the small things that matter. And the third one, the big one, is of course the Slack huddles. So in the old one, it was audio only. It's been kind of in a testing mode, if you will, the past few months, but it's already worked incredibly well. In the new one, you can still keep audio only, or you can enable the video, as you can see. And you have the whiteboarding features, which are incredibly powerful. I encourage you to check out the Slack Huddles website announcements for what's coming later this year, because it's kind of mind blowing how much they're able to fit in versus the old one. You can put in your emoji reactions, you can set up your microphone and camera directly inside it. You can have multiple people uh, screen share or to share their videos or not share their videos. And the whiteboarding tools, that's where it makes a huge difference. You can, for example, use highlighters on your screen. You can like zoom into the screen, and at the same time on the right sidebar, you can have a conversation going about what's being discussed. And the best of all, after the huddle is over, all of that conversation gets saved right inside the channel. So really, really massive improvement there. And I can't wait to try this out. I'm sure it'd be like super useful to resolve issues and to kind of start replacing official meetings with this one basically fully taking over. So let's hear, from you. What would you like? What is the use case for your company of the new Select huddles? I can't wait to find out more. And I've also pasted some of these resources from the announcements, so feel free to check them out. Slack profile talks about some of the benefits I mentioned, the sidebar there as well, what was removed and why, and how it's going to help users. And finally, the huddles feature, which has a great GIF showing you how the whole interface functions and some additional functionality. So check those out. All right, so now that we've talked for a bit, it's time for any questions you may have from all of these announcements or from Frontiers itself. And since it's only myself today, I might ask myself my own questions, such as, when are all of these features coming? It's a simple one. So, profile updates were already rolled out to pretty much everybody. It should have been, even the larger enterprises already have those. You can check out, by the way, all of these new features except huddles. They are still in beta testing in the Slack community workspace. Sidebar updates, yes, rolled out to the Slack community, not yet to everybody. And huddles, they don't yet have a time frame except later this year. All right, another question. Maybe what are some of the use cases of the huddles functionality for your team? So if we look at the left, I mean, I already mentioned about handing things over between different shifts, but you might be facing another issue. Well, if you get an email, for example, about something, not working from one of your team members or from other departments, instead of sending back an email saying, is this the issue and what's going on, you can just simply, write that person on Slack and say, shall we drop into a quick huddle to solve this? And they might tell you, I'm not available maybe in the next 2 hours. So you can simply create a Slack reminder for yourself, and then you can click that person and start a huddle and resolve the issue maybe within 5 minutes, which would take you maybe 50 minutes over email. So that's one use case. Another one is simply hallway conversations. So if we think of Slack in terms of a digital HQ, you might have team members on site, but these days you might have team members working from home, working from other countries, or pretty much anywhere. And how do we bring that together? Well, the answer is huddles. Huddles, you can simply log in from anywhere, from your laptop, from your phone, from your iPad. You can simply drop into the huddle and you can share your screen and still see it on all of those devices and participate. The only thing with that is for screen sharing, it's only possible on desktops or laptops, not yet possible on phones. So yes, there's many other use cases for huddles, but I encourage you to try them out yourself, see what works best for you, and implement that going forward on a regular basis. All right, another question. Let me think about that. Okay, so maybe what are some of the other options here for Slack. Well, if you go to slack.com, you can of course read up a bit on the features, but I encourage you to check out. Um, in fact, I will screen share after this presentation a bit the options to use the help options within Slack. So if you go to the top right within Slack, you can see a question mark. If you click that, you will be able to take your own self-paced training using text but also video, and it's really useful to explore more about Slack. A lot more than I have here today for you, and kind of go at your own self pace as uh, as you kind of do your day to day work. So you can keep it in a sidebar section, and you can still message your colleagues and get things done in the main left side as you keep exploring. So maybe that's enough here for the questions. And unfortunately, since it's only myself, it doesn't make sense to network in a breakout room. But I'd like to provide you a summary. What is Slack? As we went over today, it's a collaborative business tool that allows your colleagues to kind of work from anywhere. It also provides you with some automation opportunities. So instead of having to do the same thing over and over, or explaining the same things to your new colleagues over and over, and you might have new colleagues after that who have to explain the same thing, you might want to consider creating a Slack workflow to explain all of these things and have them go through it at a self-paced basis. And you have those advanced features with workflows, but also huddles. So with workflows, you can hook up your other online apps through webhooks. And with huddles, you can simply quickly get together, share what is the issue, and then resolve it. And even more functionality with apps. As we saw, we can use apps like Zapier, but also apps like Gmail, Google Calendar, or Drive to basically uh, quickly schedule new meetings or provide notifications when your calendar is getting updated, or when something happens in your Drive or in your online storage space. Or even you can integrate Zoom and other apps uh, for the advanced functionality that may not yet be there in features such as like huddles. And for the major announcements today, we covered the profile updates, cleaner interface, name pronunciation, and better functionality with the hover over features. Sidebar updates for more cleaner sidebar, less intrusive, more focused towards your work. And then huddles. Wow, that's gonna be a huge one later this year. You will have screen sharing functionality as before, but this time with highlighting functionality, emoji replies, and video finally. So pretty much a whole new whiteboarding solution to replace a bunch of other whiteboarding apps all in the same tool and place, get things done. And all of the conversations from the meetings finally able to be saved inside the same channel. So that's the Slack party announcements. But for next steps, feel free to learn more about Slack using these resources, using the help menu as you'll see, and using our community. So please, if you found this interesting and useful to you, join our community. don't hesitate to get involved. Reach out to me either on the community or LinkedIn. Propose your own events. If you'd like the event to be more than just about frontiers, more than just about announcements, we can have events such as uh, having tech talks or fireside chats. What are the Slack API functionalities that will benefit your business, your app? Maybe present a bit about your own company. How has Slack helped to transform your own business and the lives of your colleagues? And of course, we can all network and learn from each other. So it's not just limited to Prague. There's many other chapters around the world, around Europe, in Asia, in North America, and so on. So you can learn more from people from those locations. And you can even go to their events. It's a great way to meet everybody from founders to salespeople to marketing people to CEOs, anybody in between, people in education, or even people just wanting to build out communities and have fun. So get involved, today, please. For some bonus resources, tips, and tricks, I've included a few links here. You can go to the Slack updates page to learn all about the latest updates and changes coming to Slack. We have Slack release notes, what's new on Mac, Windows, iOS, Android for Slack. You can check Slack status if Slack is running fine or if there's some current issues going on and the resolution times. For developers, check out Slack API. There is a ton of information on that website on how to build on top of the really amazing and powerful Slack platform and build any solutions that your business needs. And then I've included a few tips and tricks. First one, master your keyboard shortcuts. Again, take maybe 1 to 3 every day new shortcuts and use them to start replacing your mouse clicks. It will help you get a lot faster and a lot more out of Slack. Second, use Slack huddles regularly. So don't just have them from time to time. If you have some announcements, regular announcements for your team, try making them in Slack huddles and use your AMA sessions for anything that may be asked for your connecting your frontline folks with your executive folks. Third tip, set up your workflows. So if you notice anything in your channels or inside your business that keeps getting repeated, think how can you create a workflow to help automate it, help streamline it. Give you a quick example. In my teams, we've always needed to train people on new things. And previously, this was done through email, through our partner teams. And we would have to send an email and wait for quite some time to get an answer on who is going to be trained, who is going to be assigned, and so on. I spotted an opportunity there myself to move a lot faster. So I created a new channel where I created a new workflow for training. And I created a form where it said who needs training, when they need the training by, and what is their schedule. I created the workflow there. I set it up and I've used it once or twice to get things going. And there was an immediate response within like a few minutes. And we are able to get the training things rolling substantially faster. Email took maybe average of 1 to 3 days. With the channel, that was brought down to 1 to 3 hours. So imagine that. Just a small example, but if it gets multiplied across all of these instances in your business, which are manual, which take a long time, your business can move substantially faster and increase revenue and improve your customer experience. Fourth one I wanted to highlight, I didn't have a chance to show you guys, but that is the Blockit Builder. So instead of just sending messages, you can utilize Blockit Builder to create almost newsletter type announcements. And this is incredibly powerful because you customize it using JSON format, and you can include very, very interactive options such as buttons, videos, pictures, and so on, and improve your overall experience for your customers. You can also build using Blockit within your apps. So this way, when messages get sent out by your apps, they come out looking way, way better and much more, customized to your needs. And fifth one, if you are new to Slack or your company has just started adopting it, consider setting up a champions program. So those are power users who have maybe utilized Slack before or who have a real hunger to learn and are eager to test things out. And these champions will improve your rollout of Slack within your functionality substantially. So you might have a business of 10 people, and even a single champion will help all those 9 other people get up to speed with Slack, help set up these workflows, help with the huddles, and so on. Really, really useful. And some of the next steps I already mentioned. Join the community. We want to have monthly events to help grow the chapter, but also to uh, bring you more out of Slack, create this whole networking, this whole community spirit here within Prague. We have many companies from startups to enterprises here using Slack. We have startup accelerators, a lot of things happening here, but not such a big community, if I will, of Slack users. Whereas, other sites, I already mentioned Germany, Netherlands, Spain, they are already well set up. So here in Prague, we have a ton of opportunity to grow this community. We also have some swag to give out. We can run competitions from the Slack team. There is an option to send swag, prizes, and all of those things to really make this a much more exciting event and get people excited about the product, but also about the community too. And finally, I'd love to have some more volunteers. If it's just me building this out all the time, then the community kind of becomes me and it loses its sense of purpose. But if we over time have people creating slides, we have speakers, there's going to be much more interaction and engagement going on to help grow the chapter further. And we can also include, other people from other chapters to kind of have cross-chapter collaboration. So again, please reach out on Slack community or my LinkedIn to get the ball rolling. All right, so that's the end, and these are the credits. So I'd like to thank you for your time. And again, please don't hesitate to let me show you here. Check out Slack itself. And here under the help menu is exactly what I meant. You click that. You can take the training. If you scroll down, you can click getting started and you get a complete introduction to Slack itself, even playing videos, and at the same time you can respond to your colleagues. So please Sign up today, join our wonderful community, and reach out to me in case you found this video useful. And I would like to thank you for your time. Hopefully, we will have more people next time, but I'm eager to get things off the ground. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend ahead, everybody.